I'm Brahmachari Jemal, for anyone that I haven't had the pleasure to meet yet. And before I get into the reading from the Gita today, I want to just talk a moment about what inspired me to choose this yesterday. That in morning meditation, or maybe afterwards, somewhere in there, yesterday morning I thought, I think I'm going to go on an orange juice fast today. That it would just be a nice thing to do for the body. And there's two reasons I mention this. One is that I don't do it that often because it's more than I can handle. That in the Raja Yoga book it says to do this type of thing once every month, and I experimented with that, but it was just, I was not even-minded and cheerful when I pushed that fasting too much. And so I chose this one, which talks about not fasting too much or too little to make myself maybe feel good. But the other reason I chose it is the other two people that I live in the same house with, also that day, I don't know if they had planned it the day before or how it went, but we never talked about it. But suddenly all three of us were just fasting on that day. And I bring that up because there really is something to magnetism, that even if we're not talking to one another about what our plans are, that Master says environment is stronger than willpower. And some of us may feel, well, yes, but I can't choose my family, I can't choose my work environment, and that may be true. But we always can choose our spiritual companions, and we can choose to come to satsang or not come to satsang, come to group meditations, whatever the case may be. But there is some element of choice here, and we do want to, whatever amount that we can, choose our environment. Choose to live and be around inspiring, joyful people. So, to the reading. This is from chapter 6, and it's stanzas 16 and 17. O Arjuna, yoga is not for him who eats too much or fasts too much, who sleeps too much or who sleeps too little. And then number 17, one who is temperate in eating, recreation, working, sleeping, and wakefulness attains yoga, which destroys all suffering. Now that's the best part, which destroys all suffering, and we'll come to that at the end here. But let's, here in the beginning, just talk about one who is temperate in eating. You know, Jayaji, a little while ago, spoke of something that Swamiji often spoke of, and it was this sadhu that I met, I believe in Puri. He was 100 and something years old, and the man told Swamiji, you should never enjoy anything. And Swamiji, oh, what about a sunset? I mean, that's nice, it makes me feel nice. No, nothing. You should never enjoy anything. And so that would kind of be the negative way of renunciation, and we could take this, that would be fasting. That if you just say, I'm going to fast all the time, I don't need to eat anything, I'm not going to take any joy in eating food. No, never. And yet Master's way was more of a positive way of, go ahead, eat the food, enjoy it, but offer that joy to God. And I bring this up because in my own life that I've experimented with both practices, and for myself I've found it to be beneficial for both. Obviously, I'm following Paramahansa Yogananda, and that I like to err more on that side of things, of eat the food, enjoy it. Yet at the same time that I feel every once in a while there is something to saying, okay, I will have a little less today, or I won't have this or that. But the ultimate thing is that each one of us needs to find our balance. And really, the important thread that I want to pick up this evening is it all comes down to attitude. That whether we're fasting or not fasting, whether we're eating a lot. There was a time I was out when we used to live out on the land at the village there, and one man invited us over to his home, and we all went, and I must say my tastes were a little bit different than his. This was the spiciest food I had ever eaten. And he just wanted to show his giving good nature. No, there's plenty of sabji. Eat, please. And I said, no, I just need a little more roti, please. It's okay. No, plenty of sabji, eat. And I was on fire. But I did my best to just stay calm and even-minded and have that attitude that what comes of itself, let it come, and be cheerful in all circumstances. So really, the thing here, the eating or the sleeping, all the things we'll go through, that's not the thing. The thing is the attitude. And can we just not get too much into likes or dislikes? Can we just stay even-minded and cheerful? And so we'll get more into that in a little bit also. Next, Krishna brings up sleep. I had an interesting experience that Devendra and I, we used to go to Bangalore. Once a month, we'd get on the train and go to Bangalore. And sometimes I just found the whole scene just, I don't know, not that enjoyable. And so I would just take off my chappals, put them under, and just go upstairs. I'd always take the top bunk, and I would just sleep for, I don't know, 15 hours or whatever the train ride was. I just sleep. And that brings me to Master. Have you seen that video of him where he says, in this position, I can sleep for 7 days if I want, or I can remain awake for 7 days? And that also, again, is the both sides of this renunciation of, okay, get some sleep, enjoy it, offer it to God, or see if you can push yourself every once in a while on Shivratri or whatever the case may be. Go for a night without sleep and see if you can stay even-minded and cheerful. But the thing here is that moderation really means to push yourself, because we have to push ourselves spiritually. That if we're not pushing ourselves, we're not going to grow. But it means push ourselves just to the point where we're still happy, where it's still all good, and that we know that we can handle that. Back to this sleeping for 15 hours. So I had a dream on one of those train rides, and Swami Kriyananda came in that dream. And he was just scolding me up and down for sleeping that much. Just, you're being a lazy bum, don't do this ever again. And so from that day, I've done my best never to sleep that much. But again, we do want to learn how to have that control and be able to do what the circumstance, the situation demands. As we're talking about moderation here, I used to have a theory in life, and that theory's kind of gone to the dustbin now. But the theory was, so have all of us heard of Khargosh and Kachua, the tortoise and the hare? And so I think we all know the story that the tortoise, that he kind of sets off at this slow pace, and the hare's like, who is this guy? I'm just going to run and run. And what does he do? He goes to sleep for a little bit too long. Maybe he needed a little scolding, and he loses. Now, my theory of life used to be, well, forget this either-or business. I'm going to be both. That I'm going to be the hare, and I'm going to run spiritually. And then, when it gets a little too much, then I'll just back down. But I'll never just stop. I'll just back down to tortoise speed, and then go at that. And then when I can really go again, I'll go. And I thought, I'm so smart. I have this whole thing figured out, the Jemal theory. But as I've grown older, I've really began to see the wisdom in that story, and that just slow and steady, that it really wins the race. One way of looking at this is that this whole world really, it's just a dream. And that we get into this thing and we think, I'm going to do so much, and we go, but as we kind of grow up a little bit, we start to say, wait, I'm starting to feel like a hamster on one of these wheels, and I'm going, but is anything really happening? And in the last analysis, no. I just read something of Swamiji. He said, if you want to take it from one perspective, you're no more important than a cockroach or than an ant. And my ego, wait a second here. But if you kind of think and you really zoom out and you see all these planets on one side, and we are talking about balance today and moderation. On one side, we're not that important. And everything that we think so grand and we have to do this, not important. But then on the other hand, that we do have to have that balance, and we have to look, yes, that we do have to help other people, that every ounce of energy that we put out into this world is helping us also develop our willpower, helping us learn that all the little things that we do, they are important. So we do have to come to this balance. But still I've seen that whatever it is that I'm doing, if just slow and steady, stick at it and choose that thing, whatever these things are, that so much more is accomplished in that way. Anyways, little lessons that I've been learning. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this because here he also says, one who is temperate in working. And of course, there's a balance here between seva and meditation. You can just think of working, temperate in working, and that he also says in here in recreation, I believe, yes, that so we can have that balance of work and recreation, but we also could have the balance of seva and meditation. And that when I was very new at Ananda village, there's a wonderful soul there named Trimurti, Many of you may have heard me tell this story many times, but he was giving us a little bit of training as we were there, and he said, if you want to meditate more, serve more. If you want to serve more, meditate more. And I thought, this guy's crazy. What if I want to meditate more, I should just shut up and go and meditate more. What does he mean, work more? But I started to see it was years later, and I thought, oh, I was working a little too much, and I felt a little out of balance, and I thought, wait, I just kind of need to back off, that I'm not actually accomplishing anything here, that I just need to back up a little bit, and I need to meditate. And there's certainly been times in my life where I'm sitting there and I say that I'm meditating and maybe doing some kriyas, but I'm thinking about everything else in the world, and that it would be better to just get up and to do something in a focused manner and do some seva, do a better job of that. And so I understood Trimurti's words of if you want to meditate more, serve more. And this comes to an interesting point that I want to get more to in the end, and that is about the Irda and the Pingala and energizing them. But an interesting thing is, have you ever met somebody who says that, oh, I could be a doctor, but I just don't want to. Or I could be a high business, powered businessman and, make lots of money. I just don't want to. Some people, you see that and you think, you couldn't, and you just know that they couldn't. And other people, you see them and you think, yeah, that guy, if he wants to put his energy in that direction, he could. If he wants to put his energy in other directions, he could. And so we need to, whatever we're doing, do it with a lot of energy. And that Master loved high power businessmen. He said, I'll turn that guy into a yogi right away. Because that same energy that's going out and serving in the world and doing, when we learn how to turn that same energy within, that we can soar in meditation. And so really it is wonderful to be able to do both. I've studied the life of Rajarsi Janakananda very deeply, and I hope to study it even more deeply, because he was really the soul that was so pleasing to Master. And when you look at his life, he did a lot outwardly, and he did a lot inwardly. And we want to learn how to do that. I want to touch, before we go into the Irda and the Pingala, I want to touch on recreation. That also, it's so easy that if we just say that I'm going to serve and I'm going to meditate, and that's all I'm going to do, and I'll just go back and forth with those and I'll be so happy. There's a saying, and that is, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. And, Swami Kriyananda told a group of us one time that when he was King Henry, that he would have his court do the work in the morning, whatever it was to run a country, whatever that was, and then must have been a lot of work to be done. And then in the afternoons, they would all play. And the first several times I heard this, I thought, what? How in God's name can you run a country by just working 3 or 4 hours in the morning and then playing for the rest of the day? But I knew that I didn't know, and that he knew. I would think these things. I never asked that particular one. But again, as the years have rolled by, that I've seen that groups that play together, that then they work together very harmoniously. Also, as individuals, that we have to have that balance. Not too much fun, but that we have to have some amount of fun, because life itself was meant to be fun. And that if our joy level starts sinking a little bit, then there's all kinds of fun things that we can do. Also, it's another very spiritual precision, I don't know, that you meet people who have kind of sustained on the spiritual path, and they each have their own unique ways of just having fun. That it's not just this dry life of chant, meditate, serve, chant, meditate, serve, chant, meditate, serve. There's more than all of that. So I urge each person here to ask God to play through you, and ask God to show you the way that he wants to play through you. So to wrap up this bit on balance, we've been talking about all of these different things of balancing the inner and the outer. That one other very deep important thing to realize is that if we practice Hong Sa, if we practice Kriya Yoga, that with Kriya Yoga first we have to get a tremendous amount of energy going in the Irda and in the Pingala. And only then can we withdraw our energy into the deep spine, into the Sushumna, and start to feel great amounts of joy. That if we try to just meditate with low energy or this lackluster kind of half-hearted attempt, that we're not going to go deep into meditation, and that ultimately we're going to find that deep balance that we're looking for. We'll find it outwardly, but we'll also, I'm emphasizing right now, inwardly, that we'll find that in meditation, and then we'll take that out into this world. And this world really, it's a testing ground to see, can I be cheerful all the time? Is there absolutely anything that can take away my cheerfulness? And Maya is clever. She will come up with all kinds of little different, where you're thinking, now, I know that this and that, but that's just not right. And we just can't do that. And suddenly, there it goes. We've lost our inner peace. But that's all right. Then we just back up again. We meditate again. We introspect. We ask God, where did I go wrong? It seemed like, it was okay to get angry in that situation or whatever. And we just work that back and forth. And we just keep working these kriyas up and down the old spine, up and down, and bring energy more and more deeply, deeply, until we learn to find that peace, which will give us yoga, which means union with God, which destroys all suffering. And that is what we are all looking for, is to destroy all suffering. And 2 more points I want to make, and then we'll go on to the arati. And the first point is, sometimes this world, it just boom, boom, beating us, and we're just looking around going, destroys all suffering? Is this possible? Because this place, it just looks like it's just giving it to us one way or the other. But we have to remember that the great ones have made it, that they've put us right here, right now, to learn the lessons that we need to learn. But we too, that we can attain this state of yoga where there will be absolutely no more suffering. And that state, it comes through realization. That state comes by understanding, deep understanding. Just studying is not enough. That we have to go within, and we have to feel that oneness. We have to feel in tune with Master, where we feel that, yes, when I feel close with Master, everything's all right. That somewhere it said that when, always as devotees, we're trying to be in tune, but when things get really rough, be even more in tune. And that's one of the great secrets. The second point that I wanted to end on here is just, it is a personal thing that I've been going through, but I wanted to share it. And that is, lately, I've just been feeling this deep urge to love everyone, to expand, to share kindness with everyone, to share peace with, yes, even strangers on the street, but even, some person I've never met on this planet, or even beyond that, everywhere. And it's so deep in me, and it's not from me, it's from the Masters, but I'm holding on to this because it's a good thing in life to hold on to. But I've just been wanting to say, how can I express this? How can we do this? How can we help every soul? And there I am at the computer sending, how many emails can I forward? And how can we get on Facebook and reach the whole world? And all of this is very good. But I've come to realize that no matter how many emails I send, no matter how many people we reach on Facebook, it's just a drop in the ocean of all of these souls who are starving for God. And I'm slowly beginning to realize that this longing on the inside to absolutely help everyone, to absolutely share God's joy with everyone, that has to be done on the inside. That somewhere within, as we achieve this state of yoga, as we go within and unite our little soul with God, that desire too, and I think all of us on some level feel this desire, that desire will be fulfilled, that we will, in God's consciousness, not in our little egoic consciousness, will feel that we are one with God, and that God himself is giving joy and peace to all people at all times. It's that we turn away from it and we forget and we don't realize that that's exactly what he's doing. But as we go within, as we achieve this yoga, we realize that's what he's doing. We realize that even that's what we are doing, and that we want to do it even more perfectly, outwardly and inwardly. Thank you so much. Let's now have an arati.